Lovely Home and Harvest. I'm Jen, and today we're going to make some cheeseburger sliders that I think you're really going to like. And then to go with that, we're gonna make some loaded oven potatoes with cheese and bacon and all the toppings. And I think you're gonna want to make this recipe for yourself, so stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and get cooking on 1 pound of ground beef. You can use any kind of ground beef that you like. Now I'm just gonna season our meat with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm gonna use what I have on hand. This is a Chicago style steak seasoning. I think it will give us a good flavor to our meat. Just to go ahead and prepare our potatoes so we can get those boiling while we're working on our sliders, I have already washed and peeled. This is probably equivalent to maybe 4 russet potatoes. These are Yukon Gold, but our recipe called for russet potatoes. I'm just using what we grew in our garden. So these are our garden grown potatoes, and I'm gonna get these diced up. The recipe that I am using, I'm probably going to reduce a little just because this is what I've got to work with. So if you are making this, you probably want to use maybe 4 to 5 medium-sized potatoes. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get these diced. So we want smaller pieces, and that will help us to get our potatoes cooked a little bit quicker. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get these diced. So we want smaller pieces, and that will help us to get our potatoes cooked a little bit quicker. If I find any potatoes with bad spots, I'll just cut them out. Sometimes that does happen. All right, so now what we're gonna do, now that we have all of our potatoes diced and ready to boil, is we're just gonna go ahead and get these into the pot. Uh-oh, lost one. We'll get these into the pot, and then we're gonna cover them with water and get those boiling on our stove. Seeing with a bad spot. Now all we really want to do is just cover our potatoes. We're going to get that on our stove. I'm going to cover it to bring it to boiling faster. And we'll get that going. Now that our meat is all cooked up, and I apologize having to switch back and forth, but I'm cooking dinner in real time for my family. So if you get confused, don't worry. The recipes to each of these will be linked in the description box below, so that you will have step-by-step instructions and you won't have any interruptions. This recipe just really makes me think of Sloppy Joe's, and I think that you could get very creative with this and add to it what you know your family will eat. So I was thinking it would be really cool to make this like a Big Mac type slider, and you could make your own Thousand Island type dressing with ketchup and mayonnaise and a little bit of relish, but my husband doesn't really care too much for mayonnaise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put in some ketchup and some mustard, and that's just gonna serve kind of as a binder for our burgers, and then also to give them a little bit more flavor. And now what I'll probably do is just let the family top their sliders with whatever they want later on, but this will start them off right. I think we're gonna need just a little bit more. I think I'm gonna add in a little bit more. Oh yeah, there we go. So on our back burner, we are going to melt a buttery topping for our sliders. So we're just gonna do 1/4 cup of butter, so that's 4 tablespoons. We're gonna get that melted. And you could do this in the microwave, but since we're already working on the stovetop, I thought we would just go ahead and use our space back here. So we're gonna melt this butter. All right, to our melted butter, we're just gonna add a little bit of garlic powder. And then the recipe calls for Worcestershire sauce, but I didn't have any of that. So I'm gonna use just a little bit of soy sauce, and we only need about 3 to 4 splashes. Okay, we're just gonna do a little bit more splash. That's more than 3 to 4. But anyway, since we're just using it to brush on our buns, I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference. So just keep that in mind. If you need a substitute in a pinch, that you can use soy sauce. Now this is what I'm gonna be using today for our sliders. I actually had this in the freezer and needed to go ahead and use it. I noticed when I pulled it out that it is a little misshapen from being in the freezer, but I think it will still work. Although we might not get perfect sliders, we are still going to have a great tasting meal. So I went ahead and put the bottom half of our slider rolls on our foil lined baking sheet. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just going to brush some of this butter mixture that we melted on the stove onto the bottom of our rolls. That way it will just soak into the bread as it's baking in the oven. And then the rest of this will add to the top of the roll. Now we're gonna add our hamburger mixture just right on top. You could add sliced cheese to the top, but I've got a block of cheese that I'm just gonna get shredded up, and I think that will work just fine. In fact, I know it will. Now we're just gonna add the top on, and this is where we will go ahead and brush on the rest of that butter. You can add sesame seeds to the top of this. And I don't have sesame seeds, but I do have this everything with the bagel seasoning, or everything bagel seasoning, I think is the right name for it. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little of that on top. Now we're gonna cover this with aluminum foil. And we're gonna bake this in our oven at 350 degrees. It's already been preheated for about 20 minutes. All right, our potatoes have finished boiling, and we're just cooking them until they are fork tender, and they are. We're not making mashed potatoes, so we really don't have to cook them down any further than that. We're gonna go ahead and drain our water, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. All right, now that we've drained our water, we're just going to use the same pot, and we're gonna add in 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup of butter, 4 ounces of cream cheese. I went ahead and just cut that into cubes as well to get it to melt a little bit faster. About 2/3 cup of sour cream. And we just want to gently mix this in so that we don't mash up our potatoes. All right, next we're going to add in 1/2 cup of milk. We're going to get that incorporated. Now we're going to add in just a little bit of garlic powder, some salt, pepper, Don't worry, I'll have the exact measurements down in the recipe below. Go ahead and get that incorporated in. I think it's a little bit more soupy than it probably is supposed to be, but I believe if we had had that extra potato, that would have taken up some of this liquid. Next, we're gonna add in 1 cup of shredded cheese. I'm using a sharp cheddar. Now we're gonna sprinkle in about a 1/2 cup of crumbled bacon, or I'm using the real bacon pieces just to save some time. All right, that looks delicious. Next, we're gonna add our potato mixture to our prepared 9x13 baking dish. We're gonna top this with the remaining cheese and also our remaining bacon. This is gonna go in a 375-degree oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. Oh wow, they look amazing. See, that cheese has melted. Oh, that looks yummy. I'm gonna cover them back up and keep them warm until our potatoes come out, but then I'll show you how we put them all together. Y'all, these were delicious. The whole family just raved over them. Something about that butter, garlic, soy sauce mixture just set these over the top. I will definitely put these on the menu to have again, and maybe next time, you know, we'll switch it up and add some different ingredients, but I really don't want to mess with them too much. I thought I would want to add some other condiments in the burger, maybe a tomato or something, but all we ended up adding to them were some of our canned dill pickles, and I mean, they would be good just by themselves. They were absolutely delicious. I can't say enough about these little sliders, so you'll definitely have to try them for yourselves. Next out of the oven, we have our loaded potato casserole. This one was equally as delicious. I did put it under the broiler for a couple of minutes there at the end just to crisp the top up. And once it cooked and cooled a little bit, those potatoes set up and it wasn't as liquidy as I had feared that it would be. My family hit this one hard, just like the sliders. And I think it would be really good for leftovers, maybe include it with another dish on a different night if you had some left over, but honestly, I don't know if it will make it through the end of the night. My family eagerly awaits when dinner is done and I have finished with these videos so that they can dig in. So as much as I would love to get their reaction live for every meal, it just doesn't happen. So take it from me, it was delicious and everyone enjoyed it. We are getting ready to dig into this delicious dinner, so I'm going to leave you here. Thanks for watching today. I hope you will try these recipes, and if you do, let me know what you think. And until next time, remember to live simply, use what you have, and enjoy the moments you've been given. Bye, friends. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.
Yummy.